Check. Hi there. If anyone's out there, just send me a note here in the group chat and let me know you're there. Hi there. If anyone's out there, just send me a note here in the group chat and let me know you're there. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So thanks for dropping by today. It's, well, it's 1 minute to 11, so we'll maybe give it a minute more before we start. This is the first Google Hangout I've run like this, so hope you'll bear with me if there's any issues with technical stuff. I'm still getting the hang of this software, but did watch a good walkthrough with Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. If any of you are interested in running a Google Hangout, he has a great tutorial. And yeah, we're just going to answer questions today. It's going to be very casual. And just to give you the background, I'd gotten some requests from different readers of the blog to answer questions, which I'm happy to do, and had some great conversations, really enjoyed it. And really great for me also just to get to know some of you and get to understand your business and see how I can help, which I love to do. And so I just thought, why not turn this into a more of a community event and do it in a hangout format. So that's what we're going to be doing today, just answering some questions. And I do have some sort of preloaded, and Rahul had sent me a question and kind of inspired the timing of this since he's over in India. And you have to forgive me. I can see that there's a couple people on here, but I'm not seeing who they are yet. So let's see. If you want to just announce yourself, just come over to the group chat, say hi. I'd love to know who you are. And again, happy to help you, or you can just listen in and see what you learn from other people's questions. So. Anybody out there? Let us know who's around. So in case you're wondering, I'm actually here in the So Young office in Toronto. And this is a piece of glass behind me, but there's actually some, we were doing some brainstorming last week. So there's some notes you see there, which are part of a brainstorming session. We were trying to get our internal, should we say, internal accountability system. We were looking at that. So, and if you see some movement in the background, there are a couple of people working back there. There's Sarah and Lillian. Yeah, I just want to get a sense of who is on the call here. So if anyone, let me just see here how I can invite Rahul here. Since he has some of the first questions, I want to make sure he's on the call. And yeah, and I'm actually in a space here. We use this as our conference room. And it's also Catherine, my wife's office. She's down in Massachusetts right now at a trade show. So I'm getting sort of updates on my watch here as to what's going on down there. And if she meets somebody important or makes a sale, I'll kind of get an update and give her some encouragement. So I'm holding down the fort here in Toronto, and she's at a show. It's actually a distributor that we work with. So yeah, expanding our retail base in the United States. And again, if you're just joining me, this is really the first time I've done a hangout like this. So again, I hope you guys will bear with me if I happen to run into any technical how-to moments. But let me know who you are. Just send a message in the chat window there. You'll see to the right. See the group chat window. And if you're on YouTube, just hit the link there, and that'll bring you over to Google Hangouts, and I can address you here. Can everybody hear me okay? Maybe I'll move my mic a little closer. And let me know if you've got any questions or just want to say hi. Leave me a link here. Just over to the right-hand side of your window there, you might have to hit the chat button there. But you can also hit the Q&A thing. You'll notice on the left-hand side there, there's a bunch of icons there that allow you to access various functions of the Google Hangout pane. So yeah, so I'm just going to put into, I'm not sure how I can actually ask questions myself. I'd like to get some up here. So I'm going to put them into the chat thing here. And so I know Rahul had a question, and I'm hoping he's on the chat here because I'd like to address that if possible. So Rahul, if you're here, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to drop these in here. So maybe I'll skip over Rahul's, which is the first question here. And I'll just start with, how do I focus my time if you're in a sort of a startup business? So I get a lot of questions from people who they've started the business and they're just getting going. And I think there's an expectation that, as soon as you open your doors, revenue is going to come pouring in. But there's actually a number of stages, especially in a product business where, there's a lot of capital intensive activity on the front end. You've got to actually manufacture your products and get them out there. So I like to think of the business really in 5 stages. And the first stage is really just a planning stage. So before you spend any money, you should really be out there researching your market and figuring out who your competition is, how your products are going to be positioned inside of that market, and really doing your research, reaching out to people who have been there, like myself, if need be, if that's the stage you're at, and get a sense of what the potential is for your product. You should be making financial plans. So the chances are that you're not going to generate positive cash flow for the first couple of years, or at least the first year. I mean, you could get lucky and come flying out of the gates, but you should have a backup plan and understand how you're going to support yourself and the business in the early stages. So that may mean, working off part-time income if you've got, or maybe you've got a job and this is a part-time thing on the side, or if you're investing capital in the business, have a burn rate. So you understand that you're not going to have positive cash flow for the first, let's say 6 months. You budget for 6 months of negative cash flow. Financial planning is a part that a lot of entrepreneurs and early businesses skip over because they become very focused on the product. But I can get into more detail on this, and I'll be developing more material on this on financial planning. But the bottom line is you need to really sketch out ideally a year of revenue projections and income projections and how you're going to make up that shortfall. And I would suggest that you do that before you invest any money in developing your products. Is just really figuring out how you're going to make it work in the early days. The next stage beyond that is what I would call your proof of concept. So once you've figured out your financial plan, and you're going to do kind of a test run of your products, and that test run should sort of limit your liability. So you may actually pay more on a per product basis, but you want to do enough, almost like a prototype. It could be a prototype. It could even be a Kickstarter campaign if you've got that type of product that would appeal to that. You want to maybe build a prototype even in the form of a video, but you want to make sure that you've tested your product in a limited sense on the market you're actually targeting before you go and spend on a full production run. So that's kind of phase 2. And you may find that your first product is a failure. So Young's first product was a complete failure. It took about 4 years to come to that conclusion. So it gives you some idea of the timelines. Now that was sort of a part-time gig for Catherine, my wife, as she was raising young kids. So, and I was earning a full-time income at the time. So I was kind of supporting her. But you really want to go through a product prototyping phase early in the process and not just go out and do a full production run and spend all the money invested in launching a business without having what I would call a proof of concept. And your first product may be a failure. And that's actually not rare. So don't be discouraged if you're committed to an idea, or you may get some feedback. And when I say prototyping and testing it, you should actually, sort of start taking it to market a bit. So maybe approach retailers, approach approach people in your target market, and see what the feedback is. And again, you may not have all your pricing worked out because you're dealing with kind of a fake situation, in the sense that you may have, like when Catherine first did a diaper bag, she had them manufactured here in Canada at a very high cost. It was almost like literally it cost as much for us to manufacture each individual bag as it did, as we could actually charge for them. So it was actually almost zero profit. But the bags gave us something that we could go and take to retailers and say, hey, what do you think of this product? Would you sell this product? How much would you sell it for? So you're really almost doing market research with a physical product. So that this idea of, I think the idea of developing a product or a prototype or doing a test and can save you a lot of time and money in the long run, instead of going to market and investing a huge amount and doing sort of typically you have to meet minimum requirements if you're going to a full-scale factory. You'll get better pricing, obviously, but you could end up investing a lot of money, and you're probably going to launch a website, and you're going to, instead of setting up your whole business infrastructure, do a test run of your products, make sure the product is viable, there's a market for it, and the market likes your product, and then you can scale up the business. And that's really the next stage. Beyond that would be the growth or launch stage, where you're just, so we talked about a research phase, a prototype or a test product. You're really testing your product. So proof of concept phase. And the third phase would be really like a launch phase. And that's when you can actually go and do a full scale run of your products. And then you're really in selling mode. You're just out to get your products distributed through as many channels as possible. Obviously, you'll have a website, and ideally, in this day and age, setting up e-commerce. But you'll also want to get out to retailers. So you got to make sure you have the margins built in. And again, this goes back to your planning, that you can wholesale your products. And at the launch phase, you're just trying to really get your products out into as many channels as possible and sell. So your primary goal at this stage is not marketing, but actually selling. And if you go to Indie Brand Builder, I've posted I posted our whole sales process there. You can download that for free, and I've got some free scripts there, some free email templates as well. So in that launch phase, and really even into the growth phase, selling should be a main priority. And once you've got some revenue coming in, you can move on to what I would call the growth phase. And by the way, everything I'm sharing with you today is kind of the rough draft of a post I'm working on right now, and I'd like to actually see where everyone who's subscribing is actually in that process. The idea of people are kind of really just at the planning phase, or they're at the sort of proof of concept. This launch phase, the growth phase is kind of stage 4, and at that phase, you've actually got you've got a little bit of traction. You can start investing seriously in marketing. You can start investing in actually building systems for your business. And that it could include, automating certain parts of the business. So for instance, So Young today, this is really the phase that we're in right now, is this kind of growth phase. So we're in the process of automating a lot of aspects of the business. So we have proven products. We have a network now established, and we are really looking at how do we make the business more efficient? How do we set up our marketing funnels? How do we systematize and build systems for customer service, for our financial tracking, for when we get an order now on our website, it's kind of shot over to our warehouse, which fulfills the order. So that's all automated process. What are our sales process and so on. So in the growth phase, you really did building all your processes, and as you do that, you'll see this natural organic growth to the business as you become more efficient and better at just kind of tweaking. But this is presuming you have a proven product, and you've launched it into the appropriate channels. And then finally, the fifth kind of most mature channel is when you diversify. Now you've kind of built out your systems, and you've got your products in a variety of channels. And now you're going to think about, okay, what's next for the business? Do we expand our product line? Do we look at other business models? Do we look at other markets? Like currently, that's something we're actually doing as well. We're looking at distribution in other markets, but maybe we will actually, go full blown into other markets. So that's sort of the 5 stages of a business. And in terms of how long it'll actually take to be profitable, I mean, you really have to sketch that out. But you should, building the beauty of a product-based business is it's saleable. Unlike a lot of internet businesses and sort of, passive income businesses, you can really sell a brand once you've invested the time in developing, but it takes a long time to develop a brand. Again, So Young is now, almost 10 years old. I mean, I'm counting the first 4 years when there was really very little action and activity. Catherine was really going through her planning and proof of concept. So we've had, sort of 6 or 7 solid years, but it's a great business once it's established because it gets some momentum to it, and it's a saleable business. And when you're building a brand around a set of products, you have something that's tangible and valuable. So I would, for anyone who's sort of like, oh, I just launched my brand and I'm not getting the sales, there's a lot of work for you to do before you can actually start seeing, positive cash flow. And the first thing you want to do is just make sure if you've got a product, you're still really in the proof of concept phase. And don't be discouraged, but it does take time, and you'll need to make financial plans for how you're going to get through that first year or two. Likely that you're going to be seeing negative cash flow. So that's it. And I'm hoping Rahul is on. Rahul, I'm sorry, I'm getting your name wrong. That's Rahul. And if you're there, just send me a message here in the live chat, and just maybe let me know you're there, and I can share your link. I'd like to see who else is here, and let's see, invite people. Okay. Yeah, what I'm not seeing here is how I can actually see who's, I can see that there's viewers here, but I can't see who they are. So in any case, we'll check that out. Okay, I'm here. Can everyone see me? If anyone's there, please just send me a chat message there, and we'll see where we're at. Send a message. There, just send me a quick message, and I'm going to move on to Rahul's question here. So maybe if Rahul doesn't make the, and I hope I was presenting earlier. I know I was talking. So can everyone see me now? All right, I'm going to get to Rahul's question here, and I'm also going to share, his link here. Rahul. So this is the website we're going to be talking about, and I have a couple questions from Rahul. Now I have typed this into the, okay, looks like it's coming up here. Come on. Isadora is the name of the brand. It's there in the showcase window to the left there. And you can click on the link there if you want to see the website. Maybe I can even screen share it while we're talking about it. So I've just typed Rahul's questions in the group chat here. So he says, we're a fashion clothing online store with limited budget and struggling to make a breakthrough. So I don't know if you caught my previous answer there, but yeah. Usually I would say in this business, it's small incremental steps as opposed to breakthroughs, but I'm confused on what should be my ideal lead magnet offer. If it's a discount coupon, then I'm stuck with the thought that everybody is giving the same, then why us? Well, this is true. I would say that in this day and age, the standard come on for a opt-in email is, a 10% discount on your first sale or so on. It's almost become like a baseline offer and people have come to expect it. Now, the advantage of this is if you are wholesaling, so you may have other online retailers who are selling your products, it does allow you to compete with them. And if you're selling on Amazon, you can even, it gives you, without lowering your minimum advertised price, you can get a, you may be able to capture a sale rather than having people shop around. They know they're getting a little bit of a discount by buying directly from you, assuming you are the manufacturer and not just a reseller. So I'll tell you what we have currently on the So Young site, which has been an amazingly effective opt-in for us. And let's see if I can share it with you here. I'm going to do a screen share. And again, bear with me because I am a little bit new to this. I'm going to get the So Young website up here, and I'm going to see if I can trigger it. So we use something called Opt-in Monster, which is basically it's a pop-up tool. And now let's see. So here's the So Young site. So I'm going to share this with you, and I hope I can get the trigger. Now it does have a cookie built in. There it is. Okay, so we have a win all this pop-up. I'm serious that this is converting like a 5 to 10% conversion rate, which is unbelievable. It's by far the best conversion rate we've ever had. So we're going to have a contest. We're running this for about a month and a half, and we've had a huge uptick in our opt-ins. So when you're offering an opt-in, remember that the ultimate goal there is actually to capture an email, because an email subscriber is quite valuable to you. You can market to them, and they've allowed you to market to them. So I strongly suggest you have an opt-in. Yeah, and the standard kind of default is 10%. We still do have that offer on our site, but this offer here, this win all this offer, vastly outperforms the 10% off, because obviously you don't need to be, the problem with the 10% offer is you kind of need to have the intention to purchase to offer it. But yeah, I agree. It is a bit of a Me Too offer, but it may be kind of a baseline that you'll need to meet in order to, to capture a sale. People have almost come to expect that. So you may want to build that into your projections around it. So you might want to just look at your competition, your competitive set. But yeah, I agree. It's a fairly standard offer. There are ways to boost your opt-in, as I've indicated here. So you may want to try this out. And again, Opt-in Monster is a great tool for if you want to just be able to handle all that yourself. The nice thing about Opt-in Monster is it has what's called an exit intent technology. So actually what's happening is when I scroll up to the top of the screen here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, that's what triggers the pop-up, is my scrolling. Now, I can't trigger it again because it only happens, there's also a cookie where it won't happen more than once a day. But it's really cool. When people are going to ostensibly click away from your site, so they're going to enter another URL, the software actually tracks that and will serve this pop-up, which is a pretty appealing pop-up to anybody, whether or not they have an intention to buy. So it allows us to capture a lot of email addresses. And we literally are seeing like 300-400 email opt-ins per week as we run this. So that's my answer to your first question. I'm going to go back here and see if I can find myself here. Okay, let me get out of this here. Okay, back to I'm seeing turn off this because it's doing the mirror effect. Okay, and I'm back. Yeah, so that has been our best performing lead magnet offer. I would suggest you probably offer a discount. Unfortunately, online, yeah, it's just the baseline. Okay, and then Raul, you asked what should be the ideal approach to build this kind of business, as it's a very competitive market, and simply getting customers to recognize us in this crowd is a huge task. Your insight on this would be highly appreciable. So again, in the beginning, I speak to a lot of people. They think, okay, I'm going to put up a website, and websites are great because they're sort of passive and they generate ostensibly ideally they generate, passive income, but very difficult for a new brand, an unknown brand, to generate traffic to a website without purchasing it. And we do that now, but we're becoming more established as a brand. In the beginning, if you are a manufacturer of your own original products, or even if you're kind of white labeling products and building a brand around that, presuming you've got the margins, and well, you need the margins. And if you don't have margins, I think you need to rethink your business model. I do have an article on margins on the website called Healthy Margins. You can download that to understand what a good margin is and how you can determine it. But you should be reaching out to retailers or agents, or sales agents can be a great way into retailers. And in the beginning, I think you need to be modest and maybe just go to local retailers and just bring your products to them. See, I know it's not glamorous, it's not what you were hoping for in terms of turning on the internet to power your business, but that's the way we've actually grown our business, is to be out there. And again, I have a whole sales process on the site, but I think you need to be realistic about what it takes to actually generate sales, and it takes a proactive approach. And it means putting yourself out there and risking rejection from certain retailers. But the beauty is, even when you get a no from a retailer, you're actually in a position to get some really valuable feedback. They're going to tell you, next question when we get a no is, well, why don't you want to carry the products? And the ideas that you get from those rejections can really fuel your product evolution. Now, especially if you've got a line of products, you can kind of play with it. If you've got a single product that you're selling, it can be pretty heart-wrenching to hear that nobody likes your product. But if you've got a line of products, and even if it's a single product, maybe you can make tweaks. Maybe it's just the way your product is presented, the way it's packaged, the way it's positioned. But you need to get that feedback. And you don't get feedback online. All you get is no sales. You don't get comments. You don't know who's actually visiting your site. You don't get that interaction that allows you to really get to know your customers, or why your customers aren't buying. So I think you really need to get out there and sell in a proactive way. So that is hands down the best way to grow your business, and I'd say really the only way to get valuable feedback. I hope that answers your question, and if it doesn't, please just let me know. Type an email, type a message here, and I'd be happy to respond to it. Yeah, I'll just give you a little more, I guess, tips from, I sort of pre-populated here for the benefit of anyone tuning in. Focusing your time again. I went through the 5 stages, but I really think that sales process is critical. And if you're not out talking to people like retailers and reps about your products, then you're missing a huge opportunity, both to sell your products and to get feedback. I'm going to move on to another question about best approaches to marketing. And I think online, because again, a lot of people struggle online, and I think there's a lot of unrealistic expectations around what it takes to actually generate sales online. We do generate a lot of sales online now, but it's taking us quite a few years to do that. And I think, am I presenting to everyone here? I hope so. It's taken us quite a few years to get to the point where we're generating, 6 figures in sales online. And the way we were able to do that, again, is by building up multiple channels. But we've always had a website. And what we've learned over the years is that, yeah, you have to generate traffic. And there's there's really a funnel approach. So first you need to generate traffic to the site. And the main ways we do that are, I mean, I would say word of mouth. At this point, we get a good amount of word of mouth. So people will discover us either through our retailers' websites. So we have other retailers that sell us online, and they'll Google So Young after they discover us somewhere online, either through a retailer or maybe a friend just had it and they saw the label on it. So you do get that when you're out in the market. You get some word of mouth type traffic. We also purchase traffic. We do Facebook ads. We do some Google shopping. I found on Facebook, and we do Instagram, obviously social media. We do even do some marketing on social media. And in these cases, photography is really important. You need to invest if you're going to be doing. Well, it really depend on your product. I mean, I think you need to understand what people are responding to in your product. Our products are very visual, so people tend to respond to a visual photo of the product, and particularly in a lifestyle situation. So, kids or adults wearing the product gives some social proof, some credibility to the product. It's it's that visual, visceral kind of response to that. I like that. That's a nice product, or that's unique. Unique looking lunchbox or backpacks are the products we sell, and there's an interest there, so they click on, they come to the site. Okay, so generating traffic, and the third way, I guess, is through social influencers. We do spend some money on hiring bloggers we get some passive blog articles, so people just like our products and they'll blog about them. But we also spend money to acquire blog coverage. And I've even seen, like, there was one blog link. It was actually quite expensive. I think we paid about $1,500 for literally a link, a weekend roundup. But this was a really successful. This woman runs a very successful blog, and from that single link, we were generating like 10 times our normal traffic for the month. We generated that in a few hours. So that was extremely valuable. Now, and then you have to capture the traffic. So you get traffic. So the top of the funnel is just, how do we generate traffic to the site? And yeah, so I've covered, there's sort of the organic traffic that's either going to show up by word of mouth, or they're going to find you through some search. There is paid traffic through, sort of Google Shopping or Facebook. Banner ads, and then there's the traffic that comes from, I guess, influencers, and you can pay influencers, or you can reach out to influencers, and obviously social media, I guess, is a fourth one as well. Once they come to the site, there's two ways we capture them and we keep them sort of in the loop, and you really need to think about more than just getting people to the site. You need to obviously have a powerful opt-in, which I shared earlier. We have a very successful opt-in right now, which is a contest where we're giving away a bunch of our products, actually a pretty generous selection of our products. And we're able to capture probably 5 to 10% of the people who show up to our site through that. We also do what's called retargeting. So we plant a cookie in the person's browser, and when they come to our site, when they view a product, they're then seeing that product wherever they go on the internet. There are ads, banner ads that pop up, and let them see our products and click back to the site. And we're only actually paying for the clicks that come back to the site. So it's a pretty cost-effective way to market, in the sense that I feel like at that point, the person has indicated an interest in our product. They're familiar with our product. So they're the people who are getting served banner ads, and maybe it's 50 cents a click or 60 cents a click, but they're also getting to see our ads kind of all over the internet. Now, some people say, "Oh, that's really annoying," and I'm somewhat sympathetic, but I can tell you that it really does work, and people do come back, and there's a very good ROI on those types of things. And then the final thing we do once we've captured them, obviously, is we do two things. So once we have an email address, obviously, then we're actively marketing. So once someone signs up for our email address, we have a series of emails that we send to them, like an automation sequence that we send to them, of 4 or 5 emails. Just some social proof, like we thank them, we point them to our social media channels, we send them some testimonials from our customers. We send them some, product reviews and so on. So we make sure that they understand that, these are quality products, that people really like these products. And, we're starting to kind of just keep them warm once they've signed up for the email list. And then finally, one thing we do, we also see a lot of people, they'll go through the process of adding stuff to their cart. So they're interested in buying, but they can't quite pull the trigger. So they'll build a cart. Maybe it's the shipping price. Maybe they just want to check out shipping. Not sure. We're never sure why they don't purchase, but they actually go through the process of making a selection. The other thing we do at that point is we've sort of beefed up our what's called a cart abandonment sequence. So we'll actually send them an email. And what I found is that if you send an email to someone who's abandoned the shopping cart, within 10 minutes of them actually abandoning it, you get a huge boost in the amount of cart abandonment sort of recoupment that you get. So, so just to recap that, if you want to just think about a simple funnel, it's like generating traffic to your website. And then once they're on the website, you want to capture some sort of information so you can remarket to them. So that's sort of step 2 of the funnel. So top 1, I covered the 4 steps there. So, paid traffic. So paying for Google Shopping, Facebook, maybe some influencers who are on social media, and our own social media channels. Number 2 is when they capture, we have our opt-in forms. We also do retargeting. So retargeting, if you're paying for people, if you're buying traffic, you have to do retargeting. It makes no sense to pay for traffic without actually being able to remarket to that traffic once they come to your site. So they're starting to see banner ads, and typically they'll come back again after seeing your banner ads a few times and maybe click on the banner ads. And then finally, at the bottom end, if they've given you an email address and not purchased, you're sending them a sequence of emails, keeping them warm. If they add something to a cart, you're sending them the cart abandonment email, again, keeping them warm. We personalize that. I'll maybe share that in a future blog post, our cart abandonment emails, because if you make them really nice and personal, they have a high return. So those are kind of like that's kind of the show. I have a blog article actually on Indie Brand Builder about this, about sort of it's actually, I think, one of the best performing articles on the site is just kind of our funnel approach, what we do, and the best performing techniques or tactics that we use at each stage of the funnel. So I have to drink water because I got a bit of a cold and I'm still there. So if anyone's there and has more questions, please just enter them into the chat message here, or there's the Q&A one as well here. Let me see if there's anything here. Okay. Yeah, so happy, hi, there we are. Okay, I am seen. Thank you, Paul. And I hope you're still around. And again, okay. Do we see questions here? Yeah, you don't see the chat. I am seeing questions, and I got to apologize. I am a newbie to Google Hangouts, so this is a bit of a learning process for me. But I have a few questions here. This is great. So I'm new to Alibaba.com. I own a woman's boutique, and I'm expanding to footwear. I found a company that's partnered with U.S. brands, Steve Martin and Topshop. How can I verify that these China suppliers are actually partnered with these U.S.-based companies? Good question. Well, I'll admit that I don't have firsthand experience in this, but I would be very suspect. I guess, if you do have suspicions, I would maybe reach out to the brands themselves and let them know. You may, if you want to become a reseller of their products, I think you want to do the legitimate route, which would be assuming they do wholesale. So I'm suspect to that, and this is Ultra Chic Fashion I'm speaking to here. Thanks, Timothy. I see you. Paul, I see you. So thank you. I'm going to say that I would ask them to prove beyond a doubt that they are actually suppliers. Now, I understand in China, on China and Alibaba, that counterfeiting is quite rampant, and it is, in fact, almost baked into the business model. So, yeah, I don't know. We have not sold on Alibaba, but I will say that we've seen our products for sale on Alibaba. Like people just literally took our photos and posted them on Alibaba as a supplier of our products. I think I'm misunderstanding your question. Okay, so they are partnered with them. So you're saying that they do manufacturing for Steve Madden and Topshop. Yeah, that's a good question. You may want to ask them to send samples of the products that they've actually manufactured for those brands. They will send, if you're serious and you can demonstrate that you're a serious buyer, Ultra Chic Fashion, you can ask them for samples of those products. But yeah, so I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question initially. Again, it's a little bit outside of my purview, but we have talked to factories overseas where they claim they work with these companies, and I don't know of a surefire way to verify that except to have them send samples that presumably they made themselves and didn't just run out and purchase. But it would show an extra level of gumption. I think ultimately by talking to your suppliers and really getting to know them well and engaging in a long-term ongoing conversation, you're going to get a good idea of whether they're a credible supplier. So it really does take time to get to know and build trust with a supplier, but ask them to send you specific samples that they made for that brand. Ask them as many questions as you can about those samples as to how they were made, and I think you'll get a pretty good idea of whether they're being straight up with you or not. So hope that answers your question. I'm selecting it here. Let me know if that does, and feel free to enter more questions here. If that doesn't answer your question, Ultra Chic Fashion, yeah, please send me a follow-up. Hi, Paul. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so Timothy, if you do have a question and you're still on, please just send me the question. And Paul, hi, Vancouver, Washington. Cool. Been to Vancouver, Canada. And my Apple Watch is telling me to stand up. That means I've been sitting for a while. So we've got a few minutes left. So thanks. Yeah. And Ultra Chic Fashion, I don't know if you've checked out the podcast I just published. There's a guy named Sam Miller who's given us some great advice. He's over in China a lot. And I did do an interview with him. He had some great tips on sourcing reliable partners and suppliers. I suggest you check out that podcast episode. It's a short one. I edited it down to kind of focus on the meat. So check that out. Please stay in touch. Thanks very much for the question. Anyone else? Come on, lay a question on me. And if you're looking for you'll have to go over to the left. Getting mixed up because I'm seeing myself in reverse on the screen here, but yeah, it's the left-hand side of your screen, I believe. If you roll over that, you'll see a number of icons there. The top one's the chat. Then should be a Q&A icon there, and if you fill in that Q&A icon, you can send me a question directly, which I'm happy to answer. All right, well, I'm going to go back to a couple of my pre-formatted questions here. And yeah, I hope Raul got on, and hopefully, I think I recorded that part of the broadcast, so I'll send that to him. Yeah, I guess one of the other questions I get a lot is about margins. So a lot of people launch an online business, and they don't build in the appropriate margins because they think, well, I'm going to sell retail. And yeah, I'd caution against that approach because it is very expensive to generate traffic and sales. And I think if you can build the margins in upfront and allow yourself to wholesale, then you're going to have a lot more options in the long term. Typically, like we try and target 60% margin, which means out of a sale of $100, we're capturing $60 of that. That allows us to build in all of our overhead for having an office, doing marketing, paying. In some cases, we have to pay shipping fees. We have to pay reps. We'll often take a cut of a sale, so 10%. So reps will charge a markup on their sales. So you really need to start targeting a 50 to 60% margin on products. And then there's also going to be products that you won't be able to sell at full price. You're going to get whittled down for discounts. So then when you're selling on sale, it's kind of, I would look at that as gravy, but I wouldn't build your margin expectations around the expectation that you're going to be selling all of your products online, unless you've really researched your business model and you're confident, you've tested it, and you know that that's going to be a successful business model. I would strongly suggest that you build your margins around wholesaling initially, and look at anything you're able to capture online as a bonus. So again, checking the Q&A here. Okay. Anyone else? Questions? You can just hit the Q&A there, and I'll get your questions in the right-hand panel. All right, we've got just a few minutes left, so feel free to check in. You can ask me anything you like about starting a product-driven business, manufacturing, marketing, wholesaling, selling online. And again, I'm here in the So Young offices here. I can give you a bit of a tour here. I don't know, the lighting. So I'm actually facing a window here so I can get some natural light. Behind me is, so there's a glass office here, which is kind of our boardroom / Catherine's office. And all those stickies you're seeing on the window are the result of a brainstorming session we did a week or so ago. We're trying to, I want to say reorg. Reorg would be a highfalutin word for us. There are 4 employees here, so a reorg is not going to be very comprehensive. But yeah, we were just breaking down all that. That's a breakdown of all the tasks that we need to handle as an organization, and kind of trying to brainstorm and group them into meaningful categories. So there's actually a post on the blog about creating an accountability chart. Which I strongly suggest. The second there's, even if you're just a single person business, we really benefited from breaking down the roles. Even if you've got 12 roles and you've got to divide up 12 roles between 2 people, at least you'll be clear on who's responsible for what. And as you grow the business and are able to delegate more, even if it means outsourcing some of those and not necessarily hiring somebody, you have a clear definition of roles. So that's what's going on behind me. There is just a kind of a breakdown of every single sort of task, and then we've clumped them. We're clumping them into the different potential responsibility areas, from admin here to production. This is our marketing and sales over here. So we're kind of brainstorming and thinking how we might redelegate some of the things that are the way we're currently handling stuff. So, yeah. So this is So Young HQ here, coming to you live on this Q&A. So yeah, looking for any questions you might have. Again, feel free, Paul, if you're still there, let me know what you're thinking. If you want to pick my brain. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, it's getting close to noon. I actually have a mastermind group that I'm participating in with a couple other. Mastermind is actually more around the platform, Indie Brand Builders. So I have a couple other mastermind members that I'm working with, and we have our weekly meeting at noon, which I've asked them to be patient if I'm a couple minutes late on account of this. But great. Well, I hope anyone who joined this today found it valuable. I'm going to be doing more of these in the future. And again, if you have an individual question, please feel free to email me, reach out to me. I'm happy to help however I can. And if you have some topics that you'd like me to explore on the blog, again, let me know, because I'm really looking for feedback from the community right now to get a sense of what kind of problems you're dealing with, what kind of information you'd like me to cover. And again, it's really valuable for me to get to know your problems. And again, I hope you got some value out of the call. I'll go do one last sort of request. If anyone has a question, please enter it there. Otherwise, I'll let you know. I'll probably do one of these at least every month or so, and you can check in. But again, feel free to reach out to me in the meantime. You can just respond to any of the emails that go out. And thanks again for joining me on this Indie Brand Builder, what should we call it? Mentoring live Google Hangout. Ask Jeremy, so to speak. And yeah, if you've got time, if you've got some value out of this, the one thing I'd ask of everyone is the podcast is still quite new. I launched it about a week and a half ago, and there is something called the new and notable section in iTunes. So if you just go onto iTunes and search Indie Brand Builder, you'll see it. And if you could leave a review, I think that really helps with the visibility in new and notable, which means more people will discover it, and hopefully have sort of a positive reinforcement trend. As more people discover it, more people will write reviews, and we'll get a little more visibility for the broadcast there. So again, thanks very much for joining me. I hope to see you again on one of these, and thanks for bearing with me as I sort out my I guess my acumen when it comes to Google Hangouts. A great tool, and lots of cool features here. Not sure I made use of them all as well as I could have, but in any case, practice makes perfect. So, all right, everyone, thanks again. We'll see you soon.